Welcome back to Love Is Podcast, where we explore the profound and extraordinary world of love. I am your host, Ayona The Artist, and let's talk about what love is. Today, we have an amazing visionary, thought leader, global entrepreneur, designer, and public speaker joining us. He's known for empowering individuals and communities. He's a pioneer in leading initiatives to bridge the gaps in financial and technological access. He took his High Level Conversations podcast global, spreading messages of self-empowerment and financial literacy. So let's dive in with my very special guest, 19 Keys.
Thank you for having me here.
Woo!
Appreciate that.
Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful. I have honestly been studying so much about you and all of the classes that you have surrounding artificial intelligence. And I've been watching your podcast for years now. I am just such a huge fan on what you have to give back to the community. It's really inspiring. So today, I want to talk about your perspective on relationships, both platonic, friendships, businesships, just all of the things, and how you navigate that in the world where I feel like it's really difficult to have strong relationships these days. So you often speak about self-development and the power of the mind. How do these principles apply to building and maintaining healthy relationships, both platonic and romantic?
I think self-awareness in that concept and the idea of relationships is more important because it gets you to understand your needs first, right? I think everybody needs is different as far as why we get into relationships, right? What we're looking to fulfill. Whether it's platonic, and if it's platonic, let's speak on that one first. You know, everybody has certain needs. You want to feel like you're contributing.
Yes.
You want to feel significant, growth, right? Being a part of a community, love.
Yes.
And I chiefly believe like the less that we've had when we were children, the more we have of those needs. So the more we seek those and we prioritize those over others. And the way we prioritize our needs structures our life because it runs our decisions. So if we're focused on growth, then I want to be connected to people that I can learn from.
Okay.
Right? People that I can build with. If we focused on significance, right? Sometimes it may be based on people you feel more than, people who stroke your ego, right? If you focus on contribution, you want to figure out how you can give to others around you, right? So it really depends on how your needs are ordered because somebody that focuses on growth, then they're going to be learning and developing skills to contribute, right? Then to feel significant. Versus somebody that didn't have that much love growing up, then they're going to need to feel significant more than anything. And that's when you'll get a more egotistical and they're going to focus on that versus growth or contribution or community. Right. And so I really think about people having that level of self-awareness to understand, okay, what do I really need? Right. And how do you fulfill those needs on like a self-love level first before you get into relationships with others so that it has a healthy standard to it?
Yes. I definitely feel like personally, like I've been such a serial monogamous, back-to-back relationships. And I did take breaks in between, but I mean, what is your perspective on that? Like healing post-relationship, do you feel like that you have to take that time? Like what's your experience and what's your thought on that?
100% you have to because you won't know yourself because getting out of relationship for men and women are two different things, right? But emotionally, you have to detox, right? Spiritually, you have to detox because you have to remind yourself who you are.
Yes.
And you have to even cleanse yourself from the frequency that you just left so you're not attracting the same one, right? We often go emit the same signal that we just left from. So we're going to find somebody that's just like that. Right. So therefore you stay in the same cycle, dating the same person with the same characteristics and traits. So it's not until you become more that you attract more. Right. It's not until you change your needs. Right. Then you attract someone who fulfills those needs, or you attract it to someone different. Right. It's like, a lot of times we attracted to the dark traits in others. Right. And those dark traits sometimes can make us feel safe. Or those dark traits, it lets you know that this person is capable of getting money, having ambition, protecting you, right? And so this has come to that idea why they say nice guys finish last. And that's because most of the time it's not about, being nice is not particularly a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Being nice is like being somebody's fool. Right? Being kind is great, but to be nice is to be somebody's fool. But it's more so about you not having that balance between your light and your dark traits.
Oh my God.
Right? And so the detox is more important than ever to reprioritize, right? Yourself, your needs. You're not doing it because you feel alone and you're trying to fulfill that. You're meeting someone who is similar to the person that you was just with, and it gives you a sense of euphoria. And so then you get butterflies and you like that person, knowing that is wrong. There's all sort of different things that you have to go through, but it's like fully soak up and take the lessons.
Yeah.
Right? And then reapproach. Right? And you have to sort of be stern with your past self to be like, yeah, you took me through that. And you have to take full accountability. I think that's something that most people don't want to do.
Woo.
Getting out of a relationship is the accountability spectrum. It's like, all right, you can soak in blaming others for whatever. You can go into the silos of the world and there's going to be group chats of women or men that's going to be talking about both genders and why they wrong and historically all of the issues. Man, you can go down the rabbit hole of why you think you're right and victimize yourself. But
Right.
then it's the accountability.
Yeah.
Right? Wait a minute. I attracted that person because that's what I was attracted to.
Yeah.
Right? You ignore certain things because honestly, when we think about society, say you're a serial monogamous. Society in America, we only have one accepted way.
Yeah.
Right? And so either that works for you or it doesn't.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, then we're going to judge you. Right? So in Western society, we don't have a customized way of doing things that's based on people's personality, right? We don't do it based on family. We don't do it based on none of those things. Most of the time, we're informed by movies, right? Or what we see and experience in our reality. But the rest of it is all societal standards. So I think getting to that relationship of self and understand, okay, what will work for me based on who I am?
Okay.
Right? What is my personality type, right? What type of lover am I, right?
Yeah.
What are my needs, right? Most people know they signs, but they don't know they psychology type, right? They don't have deeper layers of awareness. So you may look for compatibility based on astrology.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
So there has to be deeper layers. And then as men, we have to ask ourselves, we have to learn, like, what do we want to prioritize? Do you want to get into a relationship for love, right? Which I think is not the best reason to get in a relationship. Because love
like
doesn't
partnership.
sustain a relationship.
Do you like partnership? Like
100%.
Okay.
It has to be a partnership.
Yeah.
Because people fall in love and out of love all the time.
It's true.
Right? For me, falling in love is just the process of loving someone.
Yeah.
When a person be like, I'm falling in love with you, I'm in love with you. It gets to a point where there's like a baseline where I just love you.
Yeah.
Right? Because for me, that whole thing is just, I'm getting to know you, I'm falling for you, right? We're connecting and becoming a part of each other. But the idea of it is that, there's arranged marriages where, sometimes they have a stronger love that lasts over time because, it's based on partnership and mutual values and something bigger than self. But when we go for love, we don't even know ourselves well enough to know that if we good at making that decision.
Right.
Which is why there was a village involved. This is why mother and father, there was different people that would help you make that decision to be like, let me see if this is a good partner for you.
Yeah.
Would this even fit the family dynamics? Will we get along? Right?
That's amazing. I never thought about arranged marriages in that way because I feel like, as far as what we see on TV, it's always a situation like Coming to America where he's like, I don't want to do this. You know,
Yeah.
I want to
Well, yeah.
choose.
There's
for my
negative
partner.
side to monogamous relationships. There's polygamous relationships. There's all we practice is unarranged relationships. That's all.
Do you think that do you think that there is a possibility that polyamory or polygamy could be effective?
Well, just look at where it's effective. Outside of Western culture, America was built on conservative Christian values, so called. So you don't even get the option because it's illegal.
Right.
Right? If it was legal, then people could see whether it would work or not. Right? Because then it could be based on, and I don't think it should work or would work for the average man. No, I think that there will be qualifiers, and I don't think most people ego will allow them to say whether they meet those qualifications. But I think society already practices, polyamory or polygamy just illegally, and it's being judged, right? But
Very much so.
on a low level, it's already practiced every single day. Most, there's women with multiple baby fathers, right, and men with multiple baby mothers.
Facts.
The only difference is you can't legally, right, make
Yeah.
that a family.
Yeah, that's so true. That's a really great perspective. I've never thought about it in that way. Okay, so you spoke about self-awareness, which was a great point. How does self-awareness contribute to healthier relationships, and what practices do you think individuals can adopt to enhance their self-awareness?
I think time alone. I think one of the biggest things for relationships is time to yourself.
I love that.
Right, because you need to know how you think outside of your partner, right? People start blaming their partner. They control me for this, so I'm doing this for them. So you end up being so invested in your partner. You start blaming them, right, for, placating towards their needs.
Yes.
Right, and it's like, okay, step away and then come together. And I think that that's where you start communicating differently. Right. So for me, that self-awareness come in that time of separation.
Yes.
Right. Where, you're reflecting and contemplating on who you are and what you want in life. Right. But I think it also comes through spiritual awareness. Right. If you're not spiritually compatible with a person, I don't see it lasting longer.
Yes.
It's not going to last longer than your conflicts and your fights.
So true.
Right. Because, that faith and that spirit that connect y'all is always going to be bigger than you. Right. So that's going to be something that creates a union to become divine, right? So there's a higher purpose for what we do, right? We serve a God through this union, right? That's a different aspect of a relationship. So I think the spiritual component is deeply missing, and that's when you're getting in touch with your soul. You're getting in touch with your values, like, who am I?
Yes.
And then y'all can audit each other, like, are you living according to those values? Am I? Are we? Right? And then that conversation goes deeper. Versus, the small things that people argue about, the Instagram comments or whatever it may be. Like, we're not having soul level conversations that is based on values. And so for me, it's just, finding that time throughout the week to spend some time in separation and
Yes.
then having conversations on, okay, what was your reflections? Because now you're creating connection based on, like, what's in your soul. You feel me?
Yes.
What was on your spirit? What's on your mind, right?
Yes.
And so you hitting all of those levels, and now you have a relationship on all those levels.
I love that. Like a weekly check-in. That's beautiful. Wow. You are killing these answers. Okay, so how can couples and friends support each other's professional and personal growth while maintaining a healthy dynamic?
That's a very great question. I'm big on you have to study each other in a sense, right? There's so many things that we know about, and a lot of times we don't like. It's nothing more, I would say, attractive, right, than a partner who knows you and
Yes.
studies you.
Yes.
Right. And when I say study, like, we know about things about our favorite entertainer, right? We know about our favorite shows and movies and all of these different things. But a lot of times we don't spend time to study our partners enough. What they do, right? Why they do it? What's their process, right? What would they need to scale, right? It could be small things that'll give you insight, right? Especially if you're living separate lives based on your vocation, based on your work, right? So you may want to study what's her industry like. What's the typical things? What will be required? Like even just asking questions like, all right, what's your vision? What will be required for you to scale in what you're doing, right? To 10x. Because then you want to know how far a person's ambition goes.
Yes.
Which is important because sometimes in a relationship, a person can be with you through the journey of like building, right?
Yeah.
But they may be great for that. They can help provide motivation, right? Getting you from like, you sort of in a deficit or starting from zero to a point. But then that person may not have ambition for scale, right? They can be like, well, that's enough. I'll be happy with that. But you is like, no, you got delayed gratification. Like, this not enough. I want more and more and more. And guess what? I need my partner to want more of me, right?
That.
Otherwise, you're going to seek that outside of your partner, right? So it's like, okay, well, you can't provide me that, but I still need that to feed me. I still need to be stimulated in that way, right? So if you don't want to be great and you don't want to be a partner to somebody great, then I don't think you should be with them, right? Just thinking about what they can provide for you. It's like the difference between a princess and a queen.
So true.
You feel me? A princess is just there for the rewards, for the gifts. You don't want the responsibility of helping you run the kingdom. Ooh. So there's different. And sometimes as a king, as a man, you know what, I want a princess, I want somebody I can spoil. But then you realize that sometimes you need that queen insight and she can't just kick that into gear. So it's like on both sides, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? Because now you want more from her and that wasn't even the reason you chose her.
Yeah.
But that was at the time you was choosing. You know what I mean? And so that's why that check-in is important to be like, all right, this is who you were when we first started.
Yeah.
But compatibility, right, is something that has to be continuous. It's not saying we was compatible when we started. This was my mindset. This was yours. These were my needs. These were your needs, right? This was my vision. This was your vision. And so this is why a lot of times you see divorce rates high with men and women that want to achieve great things because their partner is no longer compatible, right, with their vision and their needs that they want for themselves. And so you have a choice. Okay, well, do I retire my vision and say, okay, well, that's enough because my partner no longer stimulates me in that area?
Yes.
Or do I find someone else? And normally you're going to, even if it's a relationship that's not sexual, right? Normally you're going to find somebody that's going to give you that feeling again, right? They're going to see your vision. They're going to tell you, keep going, right? They're going to stimulate that youth in you, that youthful energy. And like your partner be like, I'm taking care of your kids. Now I ain't got time to do all that. You feel me? Like, and so, but you have to be careful in that aspect. And so it's like we have lost the art of relationships. And so as they say, it takes a village to raise a child, right? It takes really a village to do everything.
Amen.
Right? It takes a village to, raise a man, right? To raise a woman, right? And to, support that man and that woman, especially on higher level endeavors.
Yes.
You want to build a multi-million-dollar business, a billion-dollar business, a brand, an empire. These are feats that only a small percentage of the world actually accomplish. So most people in the world are not compatible with people who accomplish those things, but they want those people because of what comes with that sort of ambition.
Yes.
So most people will never be honest with themselves and say, I'm not going to be the best partner to give you the best life based on the requirements
that you have,
right? That you would have.
Yeah.
So that's where it's unfortunate. And, that's where, I would say men of greatness and women of greatness, you start to find, you're not compatible with me on this level. You're compatible with me here in my heart.
Yeah.
But maybe not my mind.
Yes.
You feel me? And so that's why I'm saying you got to constantly evolve. You got to constantly grow. If you're with somebody and they vision, it's huge, right? Because they're going to keep becoming more and more and more. They're going to be a different person. That person is no longer focused on doing the work. Now they got to manage things. Now they in leadership, right? Now they got to go network and move differently.
Yes.
So you can't expect that person habits to stay the same, right? Oh, you was doing this, now you're doing this. Yes.
The responsibility.
Because I'm at another level and it requires different moves.
Yeah.
So all of that has to be understood. All of that has to be taken in. And you have to be somebody that pushes them, not trying to get them to settle.
Yes.
Right? Because now you're creating friction. Now I'm choosing you or the vision. Right? And if I got to choose between you or the vision, I'm going to choose the vision. Because what's going to really feed me long term, right, as a human being of life, right, is that I am able to get my visions out in the world.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm not about to be home just cuddled up with wife and kids and saying that, okay, I found everything. Like, nah, some men are conquerors. You feel me? So it's just different. And every man ain't like that. Some men may lie to themselves, but every man is not a hunter. Every man is not a conqueror. Every man is not great. And it's okay. But you have to understand the difference between a good man and a great man.
Absolutely.
And a good man requires certain things, but a great man requires more.
Absolutely. Oh my God. That was well said. Okay, so in matters of you personally deciding, like, if this is your season right now and you're focused and you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing, I'm chasing this particular intention or I'm setting these goals for myself, how do you decide when you're taking seasons to decide, like, okay, I want to date, I want to see what's out there? Or how do you decide when you're like, no, this is time for me to like lock in and like do what I need to do right now?
I think as a man, it's easier to think about it in a sense because, number one, if you have a vision, right, a huge vision, it gets to a point where you do all the things that you can do by yourself.
Yes.
Right? And you build yourself up to a certain standard, being able to manage your life, your finances, your mind, your spirit. It's really not until you need a team that you seek a partner. Right? It's the same thing in business. Like, if I don't need a business partner, right? Or if I can't afford employees, then I'm not going to look for them.
Yes.
You feel me? So it's when I believe that you need to outsource and you need additional help for your vision that you seek a mate.
Okay.
You feel me? So I think that's a season of, they're cyclical throughout the years, but it's also throughout life. We go through seasons where we are experimenting and like taste testing. You feel me? And then we're in that spirit of the getting the proper vision. Like, the season of vision is important because that's the time where you are developing your inspiration for what you want to do in life.
Yes.
And sometimes you get to a point where, I made that goal, I need to be re-inspired.
Yes.
And so you got to be on that journey. And sometimes you don't need no interruptions on that, right? I need all this energy to go into that. But then once I have a vision, all right, now you're starting to go into development. All right, who am I need to become in order to bring this vision out? And then who do I need to bring with me, right, along the journey? And so you really start thinking about, and I can't remember who I heard say this, but they were speaking on, like, when you seek a partner, become the partner you seek.
Yes.
Right? So therefore you find somebody that reflects you.
Yes.
So you can't seek more than what you are. Right?
Way.
So I believe that once you're in that season of development, you are planning out your life, right? As a man, you sit down, you plan it out. You say, okay, this is what I need for business, right? This is what I need in a business partner. This is what I need in a life partner.
Yes.
Right? And so the more honest you are, right, which you can only get with the deeper you go within yourself,
yes,
right? Then now, if you find someone that fits that criteria,
yes,
while you're on the journey,
yes,
that's the difference. You don't take time to be like, all right, I'm gonna go look for a wife. It don't work like that. You feel me? You have to be continuous on the journey, because also a woman don't respect a man that chases her.
Ooh-wee.
You feel me? She respect a man that chases vision.
Amen.
That's different. That's what attracts the woman in the first place.
Yes.
But a blind man, listen, man. No disrespect to blind people out there physically, but that's not what a woman seeks. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? She seeks a man that knows where he's going. She can see his path. She speaks to him and, I see what's in your mind. I can help you. Because then she start twirling in her imagination what she can bring, what she can do, how she can help, how she can be a partner, all of those different things. So I don't think it's no time that you stop in your journey of vision and you just start looking around and going wife searching. Like, that's not a real thing.
Yes.
Unless you are in an environment of like a church or a mosque where you have a system set up like that to where you can court someone, right? But, the average person don't have that. Mm-hmm. So I would just say stay focused on your vision, but keep your eyes open, right, for the right one. So if it happens to be that season, you're not turning it down if it's the right person. But that whole, I have a lot of time, and I think that if a good person comes in your life, they come in as a helper, right? They come in as a friend.
Yeah.
And that friend has to be somebody that doesn't distract you from your vision. You feel
Yes.
me? So it's like, okay, I can see how you fit in my life, and I want you in my life more. Right. So therefore, I can see you as a friend. I can see you as a lover. I can see you as a partner. And I believe that it becomes more intentional, of course, during those phases. But it's like now you a part of the vision.
I love
You
that.
feel me? And it becomes harder nowadays because men and women have separate visions. So I literally have to take time out of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right. And go towards you. And you have to take time on what you're doing to come towards me. And now neither one of us are really focused and locked in on our vision. So we become a distraction.
Ooh.
So when you find somebody that complements your vision, right, it's saying that I can continue to do what I'm doing. Matter of fact, I can even do it better with you.
Yeah.
Right. And then as a man, you have to think about like your own needs, because if you out there, trying to stimulate your needs because you're working so much and you need that feminine energy, but giving your energy to too many, right, is depleting your focus from producing that vision, then you can look at it as a logical decision now. All right, let me find one,
Yes.
right, that I can build with, because it's too much distraction that's taking me away from all the energy I should be putting over here.
Amen.
Right? You setting up 5, 10 dates, tricking off every day of the week. Nah. Focus your energy on the vision, right? And then find someone that logically fits into it, logic and love. And I believe you'll be all right.
I love that. That's great advice. It's really interesting now because dating has gone on this really crazy spiral. We have Hinge, we have
What's Hinge?
Raya. These are all dating apps. Hinge, Raya, we have obviously people use Instagram and like these typical apps, but I just feel like there isn't, like you said, an ability to get to know someone on a foundational level, on a spiritual level. It's impossible when it's just swipe right, swipe left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That type of thing. It's like all based on the physical. There's really no depth to it. And because of just the surface way of dating, like how do you recommend people navigate that? You know what I mean? Like that is a whole culture in and of itself. People have gone mostly to the internet and trusting these internet sites more than they trust just organically meeting people.
I don't think you go beat organic. I think a good way is through traveling, right? People that's on similar journeys end up in the same places. So as you traveling and you going through these places and you find people that's there, they typically are in a similar journey than you.
Yes.
Right? And that may be more compatible. And so it's like, and I'm not saying like you looking for foreigners or anything, but it's like right now, a lot of people are in Cairns,
Yes.
right? You may find the woman that you want, she's from America, but she happened to be on a similar journey than you right now.
Yeah.
And so therefore, you finding people that's possibly in your social class
Yes.
level, financial class
Yes.
level, you feel me, that has compatible, possible, industries.
Yes.
So I feel like in your natural organic journey, as you're moving around, if you're a single person, I don't think you should go outside of, right, your realm. I think you should stay within that and find people, right, that's compatible, that fit within that industry and fit within those spaces, right? And then you have your list of, all right, what am I seeking in that person?
Yes.
You feel me? And then therefore you can audit who you allow, right, to get an opportunity.
Yes. I love that. Great. Oh my God. I can't keep saying great advice because I'm like soaking all this information. This is so beautiful. Okay. I'm going to go to trust. Trust is a cornerstone of romantic relationships. I feel like that is applicable to family ships and platonic as well. But what practices do you recommend for building and maintaining trust between partners?
I think just communication, consistent communication. I think it takes a lot of you're trusting each other,
Yeah.
right? Because you got to go out on a limb, right? I think the moment that you start to not trust your partner, right, they feel that,
Yeah.
right? And then when you feel that, you feel closed in, right? And you start to resent your partner because you making that person feel less than, right? And so I think that there has to be a lot of trust naturally given,
Yeah.
right? And constantly given, and a lot of constant forgiveness in a sense, right?
Yes.
So, but beyond that, I think it's communication.
Yeah.
You feel me? I think being transparent, you'd be super surprised how far transparency will get you.
It's true.
Right? That transparency and that communication is the simple things, but they're the most necessary, right? Like, I'm going to tell you what's on my mind, and I'm going to listen what's on yours.
Yes.
And then I'm going to constantly check in. I think the issue is that most people look at it like conflict sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't want to say this because you're going to think this and you're going to think that. It's like you have to go through that.
Yes.
Because the more you put that off, the more of these unsaid things.
Yeah.
But then you actually reacting and acting towards those unsaid things, right? So now y'all acting funny towards each other, right? But instead, when you bring it up in the midst of when you have the thought, when you have the emotion, when you have the feeling, y'all start to build up these habits in a relationship that's actually positive, right? And that's actually, based on growth. Because now I know you know me, like, yo, I'm super intuitive.
Yeah.
So for the most part, it sounds a certain way, but I'm already going to know.
Yeah, you reading the
So
energy.
I'm just getting confirmation through communication.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't want to feel crazy.
Exactly.
So I'm like, I already know, right, what I think is true is, so let's communicate.
Yeah.
Right? So now we have alignment.
Yes.
And I think that that's more so like the whole key is it's alignment and it's boundaries.
Yes.
You feel me? The boundaries is where you setting that parameter of space, right? But it's also where you giving trust. You feel me? So, it's a lot of just natural practices that I wouldn't even say that they natural, because I believe that we live in a time where relationships are the hardest. We have so much modern access to things that it actually makes it harder. And one has to ask themselves the question, in all honesty, is like, how do you do modern traditional relationships, right? Because we have modern progressive relationships.
Yeah.
But modern traditional relationships are so hard because environment is stronger than nature, right? So what we're doing is we're pulling from the past saying that we want to do this.
Yeah.
But we live in a modern world where none of these things, right, even really exist. And the environments are not conducive to contributing to an environment, right, that enhances the success rate of those things.
Yes.
So either you say, okay, well, let's be honest with ourselves and say, okay, how do we make relationships work in modern age?
Yes.
And I think that, pastors and preachers and ministers, for the most part, are not going to tell you that. They're just going to tell you to follow tradition and just discipline yourself through it, which I understand, right? Because you want to keep that fold. But that that's hard. And the success rate on that is terrible. In the Black community, I believe it's like 70 to 80% of marriages fail, right? And throughout society, it's 50%. So that means that it's not working.
Yeah.
Right? It's not working at all. And it's like, do we just keep trying the same thing over and over and over? That's damaging. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So no, I think that we have to be open to challenging, right? What are the traditions and what should work in modern age? When my mother and father met, she met my father in jail. She was visiting my uncle and he was mopping the floor or something. And, I think he told her his birthday and she was like, that's mine too. And she thought he was lying. And he was like, can I at least write you? And my grandmother was keeping the letters, right? So when she finally found out, my father is very poetic. You wouldn't know because he's not like, that type of guy. He's a Superman's man. But when he writes very poetic.
I love that.
So, that's how they got 10 kids. They had 10 children together later. But it's like writing a letter and having that intention and having to wait and having to be patient. That's completely different. The average man only seen, I don't know, the amount of women that were in his radius, then the amount of available ones, then the amount of attractive ones that he had access to.
Yeah.
Then it was really based on like social class and things of that nature. But now, man, we got access to the whole world. And people can fake it, so you don't even know if they really in the same tiers.
Exactly.
So it's like, how do you deal with that in the modern construct? Because communication has changed, right? Needs have changed, access has changed, traditions, norms, values, right? Media. we don't even have shows that produce healthy relationships in front of us.
Oh my God.
So you can't really blame this generation for what's being produced when our attitudes about love and family and relationships that's being informed and constructed are based on programming that is destructive.
Yes.
So we have a lot to fight against, to go against the grain. And that's why I focus on media. That's why I focus on like, how do we control our imagery?
Yes.
Right? And those are deeper foundational things, because we talking about like, you know, relationship between person to person is one thing, but when we talk about structures and systems that's set up, they're not set up for you to win, right? Hinge or whatever ones you was naming, those are set up for you to have quick exchanges, right? They don't want you to actually get in a relationship, because then there's no retention rate.
Absolutely.
On the app, we want you to have a hookup and then come back for another one.
Yeah.
So you can continue to use our product and service. Nobody creates a company so that you don't use the product again. No, we need a lot of retention. So you have to think about just how many things you're fighting against that make it so much harder for the mind of a young man and a young woman to say, okay, I want what my grandmother had.
Absolutely.
I want what my grandfather had.
Absolutely.
I don't know what that, I personally, I haven't seen good relationships in my immediate family and environment to say I want what they have. So that means I have to literally construct that for myself in real life.
Yeah.
But that's another layer of starting over. And who says that I want to be, or I am an expert at doing it the right way?
Yeah.
So now that's another generation that has to figure out how to learn, right, from scratch. So that's a level of poverty that we've dealt with, not having that in the household. And people that I know that do, that can see their grandparents and they things of that nature, they have a different attitude about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It informs a different vision, and it creates different habits. It produces different desires and needs. So I just think we got to be empathetic towards each other, right? And we have to be accountable for how it affects each other and really be intentional about it. But then we have to think at higher levels to say, okay, programming a society is not an individual thing. It's a systematic thing. And so if we continue to support the systems that produce the images that are degrading to our own self-worth and establishment of family, right? Then your relationship was doomed based on who you spent money with, who you spent attention with, right? Because you're giving money, you're giving attention, and you're giving power to systems that are set up to destroy, right, relationships and destroy families from being built. America, in some sense of idea, was supposed to have like these values of family and tradition. It's no longer that at all.
No.
Whatsoever. Corporations run it. They got products to sell. They got profits to make. And it doesn't benefit them to have one single income in a household. They need multiple incomes so that the man is buying things, the woman is buying things, child is buying things. Having people as individuals, right, is better for their bottom line than having families that's stable, that have less needs, less desires, buy things outside the household, right, and that is operating in a functional sense. So this is why we are the largest consumers. We're trying to find love outside of self, love outside of family, and we don't have the harmony and balance in traditions, right, of a culture to establish upon.
Wow. That was profound. I mean, thinking about the foundation of it all, I mean, it really is based on the system and how we're able to translate that in our conversations within the home. You know, I didn't have that dynamic either. My mother and father never married. And my mom transitioned. My father's been in and out of jail my whole life. So it wasn't the perfect ideal situation, but it was something I was like, okay, well, what they had is not something I know I don't want that. When it comes to, well, first of all, let me just say, you are just such a leader, and I feel like you're going to be an amazing father. You're going to be an amazing husband, all those things. What is a perfect, well, what is your vision for marriage, or what do you think that it looks like for you?
I just think about a partnership, you know, one that is based on growth.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of my primary needs is growth.
Yeah.
But also it's like healing together, because I feel like there's a lot of traumas for the average black man and woman gonna meet, there's a lot of healing that's gonna have to happen between them. You know, and I'm just very open-minded that I don't know everything and I'm not where I want to be. So for me, it's about creating and establishing a relationship of growth.
Yes.
Right? But it also has to have that spiritual depth, right? A spiritual woman is different because you go connect on a soul level, on a spiritual level, right? And y'all go vibrate high. And being able to, you know, have your two inner childs meet, right? They're able to play together. They're able to love together. They're able to heal and mend wounds, right? Together, you're able to travel. You're able to build. You're able to complement each other in different areas. You're able to help establish peace.
Yes.
But at the same time, you don't create reliance on each other in the sense of you hold my happiness. Like, no, we're building joy together.
Yes.
I don't control your happiness. You do. Right? At any point in time that you are unhappy, then that's something that we got to go back and reestablish. But it has to be based on partnership for me. Like, I want to build, right?
Amen.
I'm a legacy man. So, you know, I want to establish that legacy. And if you see me building a kingdom, right, you be my queen that helps me run that. And by helping me run that, right, then you get the equity in it, right? So you are helping establishing something that is part yours at the same time. I don't like when things look, you know, independency. Like, that's the idea of having an independent woman. It doesn't make any sense. It has to be an interdependent relationship.
Love that.
Because you have to be investing what I'm investing in so you can get the equity in it.
Absolutely.
Right? You help me build it. You help me take it from, you know, 1X to 10X, then I owe you, you know, part of that. That's that partnership aspect.
Yeah.
But as far as like a marriage, I always thought about this. I've never really had a vision for marriage in a sense. You know, I think about marriage in the eyes of God, then marriage in the eyes of law. And I was talking with my brother Nuri Muhammad, who I believe is an expert on the subject. He talked about how we put so much money into the wedding and not enough investment in the marriage, right? And the marriage is like this lifelong partnership that you're going to be with the person. So I've been thinking about more so making sure that that moment that you ask somebody, yo, will you marry me? That person, right, is the person, like that person that's almost freeze frame. Are they the person you want to be with forever?
Absolutely.
Right? Do they have the traits? Do they fulfill the needs? Or you feel like you're going to grow with that person? And of course they're going to become more, but they have to already be on that trajectory.
Absolutely.
And you can't think that once you get into a marriage that this is it. Like, no, you still have to be earning each other, right? It's going to be hard to go through a divorce, but it can still happen. So it's like you still have to earn each other. You still have to date each other. That's my idea of like we don't get settled until we an old couple. Like, I'm not gonna ever be that guy. Like, life is too short for me to be in an old couple-esque like idea of things. I don't care what I've been shown. I don't care about none of the movies, none of that. We got to establish our own way about doing this.
Yeah,
you feel me?
yeah.
And we got to continue to have that loving and energy and like provide that value to each other, because just because something is a tradition don't mean you should follow it, especially if it doesn't work for you. But if you go bring children into a relationship, then it got to be on a whole nother level.
Absolutely.
Like, the man and the woman has to be on a whole nother level of connection, I believe, before you can bring children.
Yes.
Right? Y'all got to be so deeply spiritually aligned
Yes.
to where there's no possibility that, CPS gets involved or like child welfare services or somebody put you on child support and y'all hating each other later on. It's like, nah. All of that got to be like the communication is the contract.
Absolutely.
You feel me? Not we signed, you my wife, you my husband, I owe you to this. Like, no. The constant, every time we communicate, right, there's a contract by, word.
Yeah.
So it's like, as we're speaking and we're coming to constant terms of agreement, we have to refresh those terms of agreement year by year, to make sure that we're staying compatible with each other. This is how I want to raise my child, right? I don't want them on no weird stuff. I'm going to raise them like this. I'm going to build like this. You go do this. These are the holidays we celebrate. And these are the ones we not. This is how I'm going to move. This is how you go move.
Yeah.
If we can come to that terms of agreement and you 100%, then I don't want you to say yes just because you're afraid of losing me.
Yeah.
Or no, it got to be pure honesty, and to be like, all right, I can agree to this. I'm with that.
I love that.
If we get to that point, then yeah, big rings.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Spiritual foundation, I feel like is the number one for me in everything you just said, because I noticed in prior relationships that I was in, I didn't lead with that in the beginning. And I really do like now, after so much growth and seeing what a healthy relationship look like or a healthy marriage looks like, I see when people, they pray before they even make a decision together, or they'll pray maybe before they speak to each other, or there's just always a consultation with the spirit before they even dive into connecting. And I'm just obsessed with what that feels like.
Yeah. No, I think that's beautiful. I think prayer and like meditation and like writing together, all of those things, I think that sinks harmony. You feel me? I think those are the things that we need to see more of.
Absolutely.
Right? I don't even think we've seen enough of that in so-called traditional relationships, right, of the past. It's like, because so many of those relationships were unhappy as well.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I don't want to duplicate that at all.
Yeah.
Right? My ancestors didn't know, like immediate ancestors didn't know everything.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, how do we make it better?
Yes.
You feel me? And I think that we have a lot more access to knowledge and information, but also it's like got to be an intuitive understanding and connection, right? I think that builds a deeper basis of like, you know, not just love, right? Because we use the word love so much, right? But it's like, all right, what are all the other things, right, that come with it? And I think them other things are what matter to me more than the love.
Bingo. Okay, so I've been watching this show, and I noticed the very interesting theme was that the women, like the lead women in it, they were all in their mid 30s, like 35, 36, 37. And so there is a biological clock that women have. And I feel like that isn't necessarily in alignment sometimes with the mental maturity of a man that might be at the same age or just around that bracket. You know what I mean? And you would hope that two people that are in their 30s would be aligned maturity-wise and just on the same page as wanting to build a future and all of that. But sometimes that's not the case. And the biological clock will get the best of the women. And I noticed that was like really prevalent in women at that age and at that demographic. I am just now reaching 35. Okay. So, you know, as they were talking about it, I'm like, wow, this is a thing. You know, people worried about whether they're going to get married by a certain time or whether they will have kids during that marriage just to build a legacy and sustain whatever their desire is for what they want to do family-wise. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that and just how a woman should navigate that? And do you just accept that maybe that's just not your purpose?
It's a great question. And I was talking to my sister, my older sister, about this the other day. Everybody, I think you should only have children, number one, if you plan on being a really good parent.
Amen.
Right? I say really good parent. We got enough subpar, mediocre people in the world. And oftentimes it's because people don't really, like a lot of times you'll have a child because you want to be with your partner. But what about raising the child part?
Yeah.
Right? I think there's a lot of people who are mediocre at what they do and they're not good at it. There's a lot of bad parents in the world. They think they know better just because they had a child.
Right.
Right? But they don't know how to raise a human being. So I don't think every woman should be a mother. Absolutely. I don't think every man should be a father.
Absolutely.
Right? Unless, right, those inner workings within yourself, right, are ready. You tapped into the God within. She's tapped into the God within. And you're ready to take on that challenge, right, of raising a young God into the world. But if that's not you, then no, I don't think you should be done based on fear.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think it should be done based on like societal standards. I think you should have a particular will and joy to want to bring another human in the world, right, and raise them up,
Yeah.
to be a productive human being that brings out their gifts
Yes.
right into the world. If you don't have that natural in you, then you shouldn't be a mother. You shouldn't be a father. And, that was just a reflection of me just thinking about how we do so many things because society pushes us towards
Yeah.
that, but they don't help you when you get into it.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's like, if you don't have that village support, that's another thing. Like, I think that, and it's a tough part of saying that because there's so many people that focus on right now is wealth building, right?
Yes.
But if you're going to wealth build, right, and it's funny because the people that don't want to have children sometimes will make the best parents. Those are the people that should have children, particularly because you have something you get to pass down. If you don't have knowledge, you don't have financial wealth, then you shouldn't have children. Because knowledge is the asset that you pass down.
Absolutely.
That family inherits that, right? They get wealthy from learning the way they father think and their ancestors thought, learning about the industry, learning about the family crest and what we uphold, right? Then you have financial assets. You're setting them up with resources so that they're not starting from square one. So I think that you should be fully developed, right, as a man, number one, before you decide to have children, because I've seen too many boys have children and it's just boys raising boys.
Yeah.
Right? And having a baby don't make you a man. Right? It's a different transformation a lot of times for women, but having a child doesn't make you a woman.
Oof.
Right? And it definitely don't make you a good mother. So there's where all the children are suffering in the world today because their parents didn't take any accountability for their own development. Absolutely. And now they think they can be responsible for a child's development, which doesn't make any sense. If you haven't raised yourself to be a full human in development of your own gifts, talents, skills, emotional intelligence, right, financial literacy, why do you think you're capable of doing that for another person?
Oh my God.
So I believe that we have to not do it based on fear.
Yeah.
It has to be based on you getting in touch with yourself and preparing yourself.
Yes.
Right? So there has to be a process of preparation. Now, this is where we don't have a heads up on a lot of our ancestors because they will go through, training, right? There will be women that go through wives training, right?
Wow.
Or how to be a mother, right? Or, in the Nation of Islam, we call it MGT, GCC is Muslim Girls Training General Civilization class.
Wow.
So you get trained, right, to learn these skill sets, learn the inner workings of a man, learning about yourself, learning about the relationship, develop the skills, right? And for men, it's FOI class, right? So society doesn't have that.
Yeah.
And the things that we know the average human being are going to go through, school doesn't prime you for, right? You're going to have financial responsibility. School don't teach us that, right? You're going to most likely become a mother or a father. You're not being taught about that. So it's like by the time you have a child, you're not ready for it at all, right? But specifically get back to your point about women that are in their 30s, I still think that there's time. Now, of course, once that biological clock hits, it's not. But I think that it should be based on, your love that you have, not only to produce a child, but the love you have with another person, that union, right, can produce a child to grow in that love. Because the biggest problem in the world today is the lack of men in the household to raise their children.
Amen.
That is the number one problem in America.
Amen.
By far. So if you're not going to have that masculine and feminine harmony that needs to be poured into that child, right, then
I know.
gotta make
know.
a sacrifice. And this is just the opinions of 19 Keys and my reflections of thought. And, to each his own on how you measure your circumstances. But I think that there's, we think very selfish in society.
Yes.
We think about what we want. Then you get a child, you don't want them.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, you have to be fully invested. And I think the way to get invested is to start developing and preparing yourself so that you know what you're getting into.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have so many of my cousins or some of my family members who have had these same issues, and this person is upset and they don't want to be together no more, and it definitely is a push and pull because the kid feels that the kid has to go through that and heal through that, and that's another generational trauma that I
Yeah.
personally chose to break. That's why I'm abstaining from having children until I felt like I was ready. I
Right.
wanted to put all of those things in place. So I agree
Yeah. We don't need
100%.
more fatherless households out there.
Absolutely. So, what advice would you give to your younger self about relationships, both platonic and romantic?
Platonic. For platonic, I would just, speak to him about just connecting with your tribe, right? There's only certain people in the world that I connect with. And people that have the same ethnic background as me, same
Yeah.
values, same ideas, same vision,
Yeah.
right? Those are people that I find connected to,
Yeah.
right? There's going to be people who are going to act as a friend and be jealous of you and be competitive. You have to understand how to see different people
Yeah.
for who they are. You have to learn how to establish relationships of usefulness, right? You, for the most part, don't seek any relationships. I would just tell him to develop yourself and continuing to develop who you are. And people will seek relationships with you, and you audit that, right, based on mutual values and vision.
Yes.
And if
Yes.
they ain't got mutual values and vision, right, then there's no sustainability for that in the first place.
Yes.
Right. So I just give him the ins and outs of the game as far as, the proper handling of people and the values of relationships and also how to sustain relationships. Right. I think it's easy, speaking platonically, right, to develop connections with people, network with them, but the art of sustaining relationships, right, making sure that there's a positive feeling connected to that, and like you're checking up on people and you're being genuine, getting to know
Yes.
them, like that's sustaining and creating depths of relationships is more important than the quantity of relationships you
Yes.
have,
Yes.
right? And so that's something I had to learn and develop as an adult, because I grew up in a very tough love environment, but I understood that everybody grew up differently, right? So the way that people express love, way that people express appreciation is different. So just learning the love languages of platonic relationship, right, is important. And then when it comes to relationships of the heart, as far as love, I would just tell him to love and heal yourself first,
Oh man, that's so good.
right? I think that that's more important than anything,
So good.
because the more you love and heal yourself, the better you're going to choose the right partner and the better you're going to treat the right partner.
Amen.
So I think that those are the important things that I've learned as an adult. It's just, loving and healing yourself.
I love that. It's so special. So special. Okay. I'm going to ask these last two questions, and then I would love to have like some gems or something that you want to share.
Okay.
What daily practices do you recommend for individuals to cultivate healthier relationships in their lives? I know you kind of touched on that a little bit, but is there something we can do every single day to make sure, other than to like do the check-ins and, you know?
Yeah. I think number one, developing a deeper relationship with God, so that the foundation of what you're looking for is always directed by His presence.
Amen.
Right. And number two, like as a practical thing that you can do, I would say, it is important to have that list of things that you want in a partner, and every day work on becoming that more and more and more, right? The thing that you want your partner to do, the frustration, think about how you can be great at that. Because oftentimes we don't like in other people what we see in ourselves. And sometimes we want in other people what we don't have in ourselves. So I would say be it.
Yes.
Right? So just taking time, enhancing that list, because that list can change in life. You feel me? Like that list of things you wanted as a little girl ain't the same list of things you need as a woman.
A fact.
Right? So it's like, but who are you becoming to say that you're worthy of it? Because sometimes we think, well, because I was hurt, right, I'm worthy of better.
Yes.
That doesn't mean anything. right? You have to become better to be worthy of better, right? And so for me, it's just about, daily seeking growth, right? Are you becoming a better partner? You feel me?
Yes.
And so you just look at all your areas, and I often say, ask yourself, are you at your 100%, right?
Yes.
Are you at your 100% physically?
Yeah.
Like, let's look at your body, look at energy wise, right? Like, are you there 100%? Would you be happy, like, your partner choosing this person to be with for the rest of their lives physically, right? Most people, they don't start at a physical level, and that's probably one of the most unfortunate aspects is that in America, plus 50% of people are obese. And so most people have to settle for an obese partner, right? And choose from a pool of obesity. And that's a lack of self-love.
Yes,
That's a
it
lack
is.
of self-care. So, first you start physically. Go to the gym, work out, work on yourself.
Yes.
Then we going mentally. Like, let's read. You know what I mean? Let's learn.
Yes.
You feel me? Let's develop ourselves. Let's be more conscious and self-aware and socially aware.
Yes.
Because most people don't have a socially aware depth to them whatsoever. Look beautiful, look pretty, but you don't know what's going on in the world. You feel me? And couldn't hold a stimulating conversation if a gun was to your head.
Yeah.
So that's tough. So it's like, focus on building that aspect. Then spiritually, I don't think it's, like I said, nothing more attractive than a feminine spiritual woman. You feel me? That's different. Because, and I'm speaking from a man's perspective, right? But for a woman's perspective, she loves a very masculine man.
I get it.
So it's like both of them have to work on developing those traits.
Yes.
Right? As a man, you have to be confident. You have to be courageous. You have to be bold. You have to be intellectual, right? You have to be risk averse. There's so many different things that you want to become to be a Renaissance man. Am I 100% man? In the sense that, are you the type of man you would look up to?
Absolutely.
Right? Think about the man you look up to and continue to develop into that person. Develop a bigger image for yourself. So it's like when you go categorically throughout financially, right? Spiritually, mentally, physically, what you're doing is you're seeing how far you are from being, right, your 100% self,
Yes.
right? But then also how far you are from being a perfect partner.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that you all should constantly be challenging yourself and constantly challenging each other in a relationship. But if you're challenging yourself, you're not going to be wanting to work out and you feeling good about yourself and your partner is looking, you feel me? It's like, oh man, god damn, babe, can you do just 10 squats for me real quick? Just 10, that's it. And can you put that down, eat that sugar right now, please? God damn, because you start thinking about the future, you start seeing the pouch, you start seeing the jiggle in the arm, the slab in the back, you know what I'm saying? Ain't had abs since they was 5. It's bad outside. You know what I mean? And I don't want you taking Ozempic Olympics. I want you to get it the right way. So unfortunately, man, a lot of people got to go through that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of men with the boobs because they on the estrogen diets.
Right.
You feel me? So
Man.
and this is like a real thing because testosterone rates are down by 50%. Right?
I am picking up on that.
It's bad outside. And then as men grow, we don't talk about this in society, but as men age, your testosterone decreases.
Wow.
So as we think about hormonal changes in a woman, right? But it happens in men as well.
Wow.
Right? And so you may not feel like as much as a man anymore. You may
Yeah.
not be able to retain muscle the same way. You may not feel as ambitious to go do things and hunt the same way. So you have to stimulate yourself purposely. So if you're looking for a man, look for a man that's at least active.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's working out, that's producing for himself. Look for somebody that has more goals. But as we taking that internally, you have to be that person that's on your own case.
Absolutely.
Because we love a person that's working to be better.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's working on themselves. So for a relationship, work on yourself. And your partner will love that. Because as a man, you want to lead. You can't expect your woman to get in shape if you not. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't just, man, you in there playing basketball games, watching NBA finals, you feel me? But financially, she want to be taking a trip to Turks and Caicos because she's seen Drake and them out there. You feel me? You don't want to jumping on Chris Brown for $1,000. You feel me? You better get your weight up. I'm just saying, man, it's a lot of opportunities and access outside. Go get you some money. Join High Level Club, whatever you need to do. You feel me? Can't
I
even do
know that's
20
right.
push-ups, and you complain about women online in the comment section. You gotta step your pictorial game up, abs up. You feel me? I'm just saying.
You know what? Everything you said about, especially like the hormonal changes, it's so crazy because I mean, I know that this is like not on topic, but it is the food that is
Oh
affecting
yeah.
like those adjustments. And if you're not aware of what to eat and how to process a healthier diet, it is tougher. I feel like for women to tap into that divine feminine, that has been
Oh yeah.
such a big journey and a big path
You're
for
not gonna
me.
you ain't gonna be divine feminine eating hot Cheetos. You know what I'm saying? It
Absolutely.
don't even work that way. So, it's you gotta get in touch. You gotta listen. That was the beauty of like when people talk about having a woman that can cook. It's important because you're thinking about how when a woman cooks, right? She nurtures the guts and the bodies and the minds of the whole household, right? So she literally is like your doctor. You know what I mean? Because she's in charge with your health.
Yeah.
Right? So if you got a woman that's cooking at home and she's not making the things like she wants you to be more fit, well, cook him food.
Absolutely.
You feel me? That is aligned with training.
Absolutely.
You feel me? And then tell him to go in the gym. Like, look, I made you this plate because it's a protein plate and you ain't been working out. Like sometimes you gotta what they call a gentle challenge.
Yes,
You feel me? I'm just gently challenging you to be more.
Yeah.
You feel me? So for me, I want the most for myself, so that's easy.
Yeah.
But I think there's a physical thing that is very important, even though that's a shallow aspect of it. But, and for women out there, I would love for us to go through a self-love. I think it's the two bases, right? When men chase money, they lose themselves, right? And nowadays, like women are chasing bodies to chase men with money. And so they're losing themselves because they don't look in the mirror and feel enough.
Yeah.
Right? There was this video done with these children and adults. And they asked these children, if you can change anything about your body, what would you change? And the children had all of these like fairy tale answers. I'll get pointy ears, I'll have wings, you know what I'm saying? I'll get fire breathing. And then they asked the adults, and the adults is like, I would change my chin, or I change my nose, or I'll get bigger breast. And it just show how, right, your self-image, right, changed, and you became insecure about who you was because of society standards. And you no longer became enough, where the children was like, I ain't nothing I want to change about like my face. Like maybe I'll get like, some fairy tale type imaginative things added on because I'm already enough in that sense. But adults are saying that no, I need to carve myself to be more perfect for society. And it's like we have to go through a self-love journey, right? Men and women.
Yeah.
Because men show their money when they don't feel like it's enough inside to be themselves. They can't show you their mind, their spirit. They can't show you their faith, their character, morals, none of that. So I'm gonna show you what I got. I got a chain, got coins, I got the new Hellcat, I got all of this, you feel me? They go put it on to attract you.
Yeah.
And you go attract the ones that's attracted to that.
Yes.
You feel me? But there's no depth of relationships whatsoever. So you can't have expectation. If you get with somebody for money, don't have expectation that they go treat you other than something that they can buy. It's simple. And then when they done with you, they go take their money and buy another you.
Absolutely.
Right? And so this idea that, I thought it was more, they lied to you. You lied to yourself, first of all.
Yeah.
Right? Getting into it, knowing that you was lying to yourself as if this person was going to ever see you or treat you then more. Because what are you?
Transaction.
Right? So it becomes that whole argument. What does a woman bring to the table? And, some men answer it, the woman is the table and things of that nature. But it's more so about, like, how does she help you prepare that table? You know what I'm saying? Like, when I think about a partner, right? A partner is somebody that's going to help be your helpmate, somebody that's going to assist you throughout life, right? Yeah, I brought the table shit. She made the food. You feel me? She ordered things. She made sure that the environment was harmonious.
Yes.
You feel me? So that when we sit down and eating, we in heaven right now.
Yeah.
So I think the answer should be easy, right? But people not thinking about how they can contribute. right? And so I think that should be more of the conversation. This time, well, thank you for bringing the table. Now let me help decorate it. You feel me? Now let me see what more, can be done with what you brought. Let me cook, let me clean, let me do whatever is necessary, basically, to make sure that you can continue to bring the table.
Yes.
You feel me? What state of mind you need to be in. You feel me? And so I think that all of that is important when we talking about compatibility and we talk about relationships, we talk about love, we talk about who we choose, we think about society. I just hate the fact that people have such a delusion idea about who they can be with and who they want to be with.
Yes. Oh my God, that's a great, great, great breakdown. So the name of the show is obviously Love Is. So what is that for you? Love is there one word that you can think of that fully embodies?
Yeah, I think love is life.
Amen.
I think if you was to really get down to, what do you want to feel for the rest of your life? It would be love.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because love, like the love is passion. Like, why do we do things? Because we love to do it. You can do something you love to do. It's an infinite charging battery, right? We do stuff for other people because we love them. We do stuff for ourselves because we love ourselves, right? Love is one of those charging energies that we would do anything for. We would kill, we would live, we would die for. It brings purpose and it gives purpose. Because when we know we love to do something, it feels purposeful to us. It brings us joy.
Yes.
It fills our hearts, right? It fills our guts. It fills our minds, right? It fills our thoughts up with the thought of it. So love is the highest purpose in life, but it's how you direct that love.
Yes.
You feel me? So I say love is life.
I love that. I love that. Are there any lasting gems that you want to leave us with?
Self-love is the reflection of all love.
It's beautiful.
The way you love yourself is the way you do everything in life.
It's a fact.
Right? So if you want more, love yourself more.
Absolutely.
Right? You want to treat yourself better, love yourself more. And I think that going through the toughest parts, the darkest parts of yourself, right, is the type of love that we don't think about enough. But it's that tough love. It's that love that, damn, I'm about to really sit down with you and I'm about to show you yourself. You know what I'm saying? Some parts you might be ashamed of. Some parts you might feel guilty, but we got to do this.
Yeah.
We can't hide. You might be triggered by what you see. You
Yeah.
might cry. Emotions might come, but these are your shadows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And I believe that if you can go through that, that's a deeper level of love that you have for yourself because you're willing to face yourself in your ugliest, right? In order to get to the light. So I believe most people are afraid of that type of love, right? That was that type of love where you start to love yourself unconditionally.
Yeah.
And you saying, I would do anything for you.
Yeah.
It's like somebody changing your diaper and you're 80 years old. That's a different kind of love.
Ooh-wee.
But it's like, do you even love yourself enough to do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To where it's like, I care about you so much doing your worst. I'm going to still treat you right. You know what I mean? But I'm going to show you better so that you can become better. I ain't going to leave you there.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you can be better. I'm going to remind you are better. I'm going to remind you of your godliness. I remind you of your capabilities, right? But I got to take you through the mud to clean you up first.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a necessary journey of self-love.
Absolutely. Shadow work is so necessary. I've been that recent space of discovering that work, and it is a little messy. Thank God for my therapist, and thank God for him showing me all the things that I need to in that season. So, yeah.
It's important to change the story that we tell ourselves,
Yes.
right? Because that changes how the story ends.
Absolutely. Well, tell us where we can find you, where can we stay in touch with you, and if you have anything coming up that we can attend, we'd love to know.
You can find me at 19_keys or 19keys.com. So you can check out all of the things we got. We have our high level club, which is like a high level wealth club, where we have members to where we teach high level thinking. We have Superior Man Tribe. We have our book club. We do active events to where we doing things like hiking, traveling, bonfires, right? We do teach about AI. You mentioned that earlier because we teach about technology, financial literacy, business credit, right? There's so many different aspects and component to that, but it's really about mastering every aspect of life, right? From the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and being a part of a tribe, right? That's on that same journey with you. So I personally teach personal branding, right? How to set up a personal brand to community brand, and we teach other people as well how to scale their podcast, right, to a 6 to 7 figure podcast, giving them our systems and frameworks that we use to get hundreds of millions of views.
Wow.
And we only take clients that we believe have good impact.
Yeah.
Because I believe that good influence, right, is good leadership.
Yeah.
There's a lot of influencers out here, but they don't all have good influence.
Absolutely.
So we built a media company to help scale, right, the right type of influence and the right type of impact. But other than that, watch High Level Conversations. It's free every other Sunday. And then we also have 19 minutes, right, to where we sit down with different various personalities and we talk about, their expertise and what they have going on in life to impact the world.
Absolutely. You guys, I am a student of his AI class. I learned so much in the week that we studied. I am still combing through the research that I have learned. It is an amazing class. I am just so grateful for your time and your energy and your wisdom. This is a major gift, and
thank you for having me.
Really appreciate you and your time. You guys, I will see y'all again next week. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Love Is Podcast. I appreciate you so much. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share.